Hello everyone, and today we are doing another Hidden Gem Fighting Games video. Very excited to do this video. The choices I picked in this video are mostly games that I don't feel like sold well, or they just not, a lot of people are not really talking about them. So I want to kind of bring them to you guys' attention. Of course, I'm doing this video with the one and only Sarmar Retro Japan. I'm glad you're here, buddy. Now let's get into these games. So the first game I want to talk about is Battle Fantasia for the Xbox 360 and the PS3. Now, a lot of you guys probably haven't seen this game that much. It came out for the 360 in America only. I thought it was actually going to come out for PS3 in America. It never did. I don't know what happened with the rights with that. Arc System just didn't pick it up or whatnot. But it's available on the PS3 and PAL territories, also in Japan, and I believe it's still available for the PSN network, which is how it was first released in America. Now, it's a 2.5D game done by Arc System Works. You guys know them as the creators of the Guilty Gear series. BlazBlue, of course, is one of their latest releases, new releases that is, and they actually worked on the two Persona games. Now, Battle Fantasia, 2.5D game. Really looks like something out of a storybook, like storybook characters and everything, the way everything looks, but it's a fantastic looking game, and I would actually consider it more of a beginner fighting game for someone who wants to get into fighting games for the first time. Battle Fantasia is right up your alley. It's very simple, very easy to get into. It's just really I would say, I don't want to say it's simplistic or anything like that, but it doesn't take that much skill to get into it, and it's just really a charming looking game. If you see this game out there in the wild, I would say definitely pick it up for, at least try it out. I mean, it may not be for the experts that are hardcore into fighting games, but it definitely has something about this game that's really cool. One thing that might throw you guys off about the game, it does only have 12 characters in the game. Some people may think that's a bad thing. I think it's great because the balance in the game is like a pretty easy to have, but I guess that's up for the experts to judge on that. But anyways, guys, you see Battle Fantasia out there, definitely give it a go.
Alright, so for my first game, I'm going to go ahead and talk about Asuka 120% Burning Fest Limited on the Sega Saturn.
Asuka 120% Burning Fest for the Sega Saturn is a 2D all-female fighting game by Filling Cafe. The Asuka series got its start way back in the day with the FM Marty, but eventually made its way to home consoles like the PC Engine, the Sony PlayStation, and the Sega Saturn, which is the version we're looking at today. The Asuka games feature some really fast gameplay with things like dashes, double jumps, supers, special moves, cancels, and so much more. The gameplay for these games is really fast-paced and a lot of fun. The graphics in the newer Asuka games, which are Burning Fest Limited and Burning Fest Final, share a very similar palette, and no matter which of the two versions you get, you're still going to get an excellent game, with Final on the PlayStation containing a few more characters, and Limited on the Sega Saturn containing things like anime cutscenes. Some of the music tracks are pretty memorable, especially the cheerleader girl's Megumi. The Asuka series as a whole is a series that not too many people talk about, and I'm really hoping that more people will play it. It's a lot of fun, and you can still find cheap copies of this game on eBay depending on which version you get, especially if you get one of the older two PS1 versions of the game. So, if your Sega Saturn or PlayStation are in need of some all-female 2D fighting action, definitely check out Asuka 120% Burning Fest.
Alright guys, so the next game I want to talk about is Blade ARCUS from Shining EX. That's a weird name, but if you guys are familiar with the Shining Force series, I believe these characters are based off of those characters, or it's like a spin-off story. Not really sure. I haven't played any of the new Shining Force games. I do have the new Shining Force game, but I haven't completed it yet. Kind of plays like a Tales game. But anyways, getting into this game, guys. This game is cool because it actually it mixes things up, kind of like in a way where you pick two characters, and for those two characters, you get to choose one for the battle. Now, after you win one round or lose a round, you can either stick with that character or switch to your other character. And that kind of like changes things up, mixes things up. If you're not feeling a character for a fight, you can kind of change it up. I actually like that aspect of the game. It really has that look of kind of like Battle Fantasia. It's a 2.5D game, and the game is really fast-paced action. Like it seems like you're able to do like all these really cool moves with like a push of a button. Well, that might be because I was actually playing on simple mode. I wasn't playing the regular mode. I was just kind of like mixing it up with the simple mode at first. So that might be why I'm making the footage kind of look so good. But I am still getting used to the game. It has like took my interest and everything. So I definitely think it's something you guys would like. But the unfortunate thing is that this game is only in Japan. So, but thankfully the systems that is on PS3 and the PS4, and now that I hear it's on the Switch as well with a new upgraded version of the game, it's region free, so you can play it anywhere. So I say definitely give this game a go, guys. I'm still learning it because it's really Japanese heavy, so I don't know what's really going on with the story and everything. But like I said, it's all about the fighting in this game. Definitely check it out, especially if you're a Shining Force fan.
All right, so since we're on the subject of portable fighting games, the next one I'm going to talk about is Super Chinese Fighter GB.
The Super Chinese series by Culture Brain is a series of games that goes back to the days of the NES, with Kung Fu Heroes being the first Super Chinese game. But in Japan, the series is simply known as Super Chinese, with this one being Super Chinese Fighter. And I'm playing this copy of Super Chinese Fighter on the Super Game Boy so that I can capture the footage. The border is really cool though. But anyway, so the game has 12 characters that you can choose from. The main characters Ryu and Jack, and the Princess Lin Lin, and a bunch of others from the Super Chinese series. One pretty neat thing is that before each match you can go ahead and pick a super move that your character can do during battle. And another cool little thing that you can do is this little roulette game. Before each round, it lets you get a special item that you can use in the match. For being a fighting game on the Game Boy, the game itself plays pretty well, with some pretty cool moves that all the characters can do. You have your fireball motions, your backward fireball motions, and things like that. Fairly typical stuff for any fighting game of that time, and this did in fact come out during the heyday of the 2D fighting game craze. Many of the chiptune tracks that you'll find in this game are pretty memorable. I found myself humming a few of the tunes myself. The rest of the sounds are to be expected. You've got your bleeps and bloops that you normally get with Game Boy games. Super Chinese Fighter is a cute game with really awesome sprites and a cool, fun little game that you can take with you on the go. It's still fairly cheap nowadays. So if you're a fan of the Kung Fu Heroes, Little Ninja Boy, or Super Chinese in general, I definitely recommend this game. You won't be disappointed if you're a fan. But I'd also recommend it if you're not a fan of the series and you just want a cheap 2D fighting action game that you can take with you on the go. Definitely take a look at it. You might enjoy it.
Alright guys, we're on a roll here. So next up I have Blade Strangers. Now, Blade Strangers, I want to get this out of the way. It's for the Switch and PS4, but I'm going to tell you guys right now, the PS4 version is kind of hard to find at local stores, and the reason that is, I guess they didn't really produce a lot of PS4 copies. If you got one, if GameStop got one, they would only get like one copy. I didn't see it at Best Buy or any other stores besides GameStop. They did have a lot of the Switch copies, but definitely you had to pre-order the PS4 copy. So I'm not saying it's rare as of right now, but it's on its way to being there, because the only way to get it easily is to probably get it offline from Amazon for the regular price. But anyways, going into the game, so Nicholas put this game together. Some people call this an indie type fighting game. They got a lot of their games and they put a lot of the characters in here, and they kind of like just made it like a battle royale. It's a solid fighting game. I'm not very good at it, unfortunately. I actually try to use a Gunvolt, but he doesn't seem like he's very good in the game, or maybe I just don't know how to use him. He's like a zone character, so he takes a little bit of getting used to, but the game actually looks pretty good. Actually, it doesn't look as good as I thought it would. I was actually playing it on my TV, and I looked at it, and some of the kind of the characters looked a little bit like they weren't HD, I would say. But other than that, though, the game still does look good. It still is very good looking. Just like I said, for me, it's very hard to get into because I'm just not good at it right now, but I'm still practicing. But it has like characters like Shovel Knight, Isaac from the Binding of Isaac. He's in the game if you played that game. So definitely look out for this game, guys. It's something I don't think you guys should miss. All right, guys. So the next game we have up is the Rumble Fish for the PS2. Now, this game was released in arcades, ported to PS2 by Sega themselves. There is a sequel to it called the Rumble Fish Part 2, but that unfortunately never saw release on any consoles. But what this game does have that compares to that one, it has 2 characters in the Rumble Fish Part 2 that they added to this version of the game. So I thought that was pretty good that Sega did that. Now, the game has around 12 fighters, and the character I use mostly is Zen because he's mostly the most rounded fighter in the game, I would say. The game is a 2.5D game, and it seems really simple and easy to get into. It's got a lot of cool flashy moves to it, but the game does seem kind of like, what's the word I want to use for it? It does seem a little floaty. Not that that's bad or anything, but like I just noticed some characters, when you jump in the air, just kind of like, they kind of like float a little bit. I don't know. But other than that, though, that's my only complaint about the game. It's not really a complaint. You know, the game is very solid, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to hunt it down. I'm very interested in a lot of the games that Dimps did because they're actually a really cool developer. They actually helped develop the Sonic Advance games. If you guys enjoy the Sonic Advance games on the Game Boy Advance, they had a part in that. But anyways, back to this game. Do I think you guys should pick it up? Hell yeah! For a good price, of course. I think I got my copy for around $20. So if you have a way to play imports on your PS2, definitely give the Rumble Fish a go. I think anyone will like it, and if you don't like it, well, that's too bad.
And next up, we're going to talk about Sokkou Seitokai, or Sonic Council, on the Sega Saturn.
So all I've got to say about Sonic Council on the Sega Saturn is that it's awesome. The game has some super tight controls and it's really fun to play. I think the game itself was based on a manga. I could only find 2 volumes of this manga, so I don't know. I feel like it could have even been an anime. Anyway, so the game's got 9 characters that you can choose from off the bat, and each character has their own special set of moves like any other fighting game. The gameplay itself is super tight. Many combos in this game, lots of things are chainable, supers are chainable, you can attain some really high hit combos, and the game is just flashy. Graphically, it's super nice, it's hand-drawn 2D animated sprites, lots of frames, the backgrounds are great, like this arcade background is awesome. Ai has like this whole Akuma thing going for her with that super move right there, and honestly, I don't really find any weak points with the game. Maybe a few more characters could have been good, but honestly, the game it feels really tight. The gameplay is great. The music is great. The art is okay. Some of their bug eyes kind of scare me, but it looks really crisp and clean, and it just plays so well. Speaking of the gameplay, you have all 6 buttons at your disposal, so it's laid out very much like Street Fighter, and it really plays a lot like Street Fighter. I think if I had to compare it to any Capcom game, it would probably play more like Capcom vs. SNK 2 or something like that. I would have to say that Sonic Council is definitely a game that flew under the radar for a lot of people. I bought this game for about $40, and this was a long time ago. You can probably still find copies for around $50, $60. That is until people wise up that it's a really good game and start buying it up. So if you have a Japanese Sega Saturn or a way to play Japanese Sega Saturn games, definitely go pick up this game before it gets super expensive.
Alright, and for my next game is one that I recently picked up at the Midwest Gaming Classic. That's osku for the Super Famicom, and it takes place in Osaka.
The name Os Karate Bu translates to something like with guts karate club or go karate club, something along those lines. And the game is based on a manga and a 4-series OVA of the same name. The story follows that of the main character Takagi, who's the captain of the karate club, and he is fighting to protect his turf, which is Osaka. Although the game is a 2D fighting game, it does play differently in a couple of aspects. For example, you don't get round 1 or round 2, you just get one long-ass round, and at the end of the round, you get a chance to actually get back up, similar to like boxing or wrestling, where you have up to the count of 3 to get back up. Well, in this game, you get like a spirit gauge, which is your ki gauge. If you have enough ki, you can resurrect yourself after you've been knocked down. But you could only do this twice. At the third time, you stay down for good. This game also does have a versus mode, which you can play all the characters that appear in the game, but once again, I had the most fun playing the story mode, as it follows the story of Takagi, and it plays everything out in this really nice, sprite-based, manga-looking panels, like you would see in the comic books, and it just has some of the coolest sprite works that you'll see in any cinematic on the Super Famicom. One of the things that really impressed me about this game is how much digitized voice there is in the game, and that always impresses me with cartridges when they can do that. The sprite work in this game is really good. The characters look great, nicely detailed, nice, great, big character sprites that I really like. It's just got this whole look that I really dig. The music itself is also pretty good and fitting for the game. If I had to nitpick one problem with this game is the very low frame rate of the game. The game seems to run at like 20 frames per second or something, and it seems to be a problem with any of the culture brain fighting games like SD, Hiryunoken, or the Super Chinese Fighter on the Super Famicom. They all just seem to have a really low frame rate for whatever reason. But aside from that, the game itself is really great, and I think it's a game that heavily fell under people's radar. At least up until recently, because complete copies of this game go for about $70 and up. Although you could find loose copies of this game for about 10 or 20 bucks, I picked up this one for 10 bucks at MGC. Os Karate Bu for the Super Famicom is one that I highly recommend.
Alright guys, so my last game on the list is Nitro+Blasterz Heroines Infinite Duel for the PS4 system. Now, this game was released on the PS3, and I didn't have a PS4 at the time that this game got announced, so I was really like trying to find out information about it. And if I found out that it was only coming out to America on the PS4, so I eventually got my PS4, and this was the first fighting game I got on the system, even before Street Fighter V, which I still don't own anymore. But anyways, this is a solid 2D game, and it features characters from Arcana Heart series, like Heart herself. If you're familiar with the Fate Stay Night series, it has Saber from that. Saber is my main character in the game. I really like how she plays a lot. But one of the unique characters in the game, and she might be considered one of the weakest characters in the game, I don't really know, is Super Sonico. I actually like her because I like cats, and she has all the cat attacks, like little 4 kittens that help her do different attacks on people. I thought that made her a really cool, unique character. I don't hear anybody talking about this game at all, really, which is pretty insane. And I do watch the fighting game like industry, and I see what their kids are, the people are playing these days, and I hear nothing about this game. Now I don't know if they think the game is weak or not, or just like it's just not what they want. But this is a good fighting game, guys. It's very colorful and it's very animated, so I think it's definitely a game that it just kind of like maybe slipped past people's radars. So it doesn't have that many characters. I think it had around like maybe 10 characters in the game. But for me, I like a small roster because it means the game is more balanced. But it's on the cheap too, guys. It goes for around 10 bucks if you can find it at GameStop. And it's gonna be one of those games that's gonna be hard to find because I don't know if it's sold well or not. But this game just really caught my attention, where you have characters that use attacks with their cell phone. Also, just to go into a little bit of gameplay as well, you get to choose 2 tag team partners that you can use in the battle. So they kind of like assist characters, I would say, that they come in and help you. And each time you use one, they have a meter that goes back up where you could chart, where you could know if you could use them again. But guys, if you see this game, don't let the cover fool you. Definitely give this game a go, especially if you're fighting game. If you like fighting games, definitely pick this one up. I don't think you'll be let down. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments if you guys like seeing more videos like this, or maybe other topics we could do for games you might want to see. I want to thank DJ again for doing this video with me. Definitely check him out, Retro Japan. He's always keeping you guys laced up with live streams every Saturday and all kind of cool import videos about all kind of games you guys, I'm pretty sure you guys don't know about. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Radical Reggie, and I will see you later.